Hi, I'm Dana. Welcome to this week's video. Today I want to talk a little bit about the differences between babies. Now, that seems pretty common sense. Babies are all different. But I think what happens sometimes, especially if you've been looking online or you've been reading the testimonials on the website, it's easy to start thinking that this is a quick fix in a day or two. Now, for some babies, it is, and that's awesome. I get letters from people all the time saying that it only took 2 nights. I've even had letters from people that said it only took 1 night. And that's great, but that's not going to be every baby. You should consider yourself really lucky if it only took you a night to get your baby sleeping better. That's usually a sign that that particular baby was so ready for this, right? They were so ready to find their own skills for sleeping well that as soon as you showed them the way, off they went and became superstar sleepers really quickly. So that can happen, and it does. But I want you to keep in mind that babies are all different. So if your baby takes more like 5 nights or 7 nights before you get a full night of sleep, that is totally normal. You know, there's a realm of normal in this. And so I don't want you to panic or start to second guess yourself if this isn't happening like magic. You know, it's a skill set. Learning to sleep well is a skill. And I will argue that to my dying day. It is a skill, and a skill takes time to learn, right? If I'm teaching my children to read or ride a bike or swim, right? I'm not expecting them to have this mastered after 1 day. 1 session in the pool, now you're ready for the Olympics. No, right? That doesn't make any kind of sense. And some days are going to go better than others, you know, especially in the reading experience that I was a teacher and I had 3 kids of my own. Some days, you know, if they're well rested and everything's just going right, they would read really well. And the next day, not so good. And it would kind of roller coaster like that until they had the skill mastered. And you might find that that's the case with this skill as well, that you have a few good nights, then a bit of a back step, then a few more good nights and a bit of a back step. And that's really, really common. You know, I think in our minds we think, well, night 1 will be bad, night 2 will be a little bit better, night 3 will be a little bit better, and so on and so on and so on. And again, sometimes that's exactly the way it goes, but sometimes it's not. And you need to keep that in mind. Another thing to consider is how bad the situation was when you came in, right? I've had clients where I can think of a worst case scenario where this baby was up, and I kid you not, every 20 minutes all night long. Now, obviously they were bed sharing because how else would this work? But every 20 minutes there was a wake up and baby was eating and mom was awake, and this was going on and on all night long. So that's a pretty extreme case. So knowing that going in, you have to monitor your expectations. That's pretty bad. And so it's most likely going to take a little longer to get to success with that particular baby. So have a look at how things were before you started. I mean, even keep a little journal or write down your notes before you start the program of like, okay, we are on average up 8 times a night with this baby. And that will give you some perspective going into the plan, that this is going to be a little harder of a road, a bit bigger of a hill for you guys to climb because of the situation prior. Again, not impossible, worth doing, absolutely. No, it's not good for anyone being up 8 times a night, but just keeping that in mind and keeping your expectations in check, right? And if it's making you feel bad to read everybody saying their baby slept after night 1, then stop reading those things, right? And just remind yourself that this is your journey. This is your baby. Every baby is unique and different, and they're going to have different reactions to this. And it's all within the realm of normal, and it's all just fine. A couple of other indicators that it might be a little rougher for you would be reflux and a past experience of colic. I find that babies who had colic as a newborn tend to have a little bit deeper of a sleep prop association, and there's often more sleep props involved. You know, there's the primary one, and then there's a couple of other secondary, third ones in the wing there. And I find that if they've got lots of different props, it can be just a little bit more challenging to get the baby sleeping well and teach them the skills they need. Reflex, same thing. My suggestion is wait until you feel like the reflex is under control and managed, and then start the Sleep Sense program, knowing that I have found after 13 years in this business that babies who had or have reflux tend to be a little bit harder to sleep train, meaning that it's going to take a bit longer. There might be a bit more protest than your best friend next door with her little one. But again, all within the realm of normal and keeping your expectations manageable and fair given the circumstance. All right? Thanks so much for watching today. Sleep well.